Darling, those moves. It's quite the scandal. Hey guys, it's your girl Ayesha and welcome to another rendition of Drag Race UK Lowdown. I'm still trying to get over the fact that we actually have our very own Drag Race. It is really so nice to see. And one thing that I'm really loving is hearing everybody's different regional accents. Like, that's just so refreshing for Drag Race. I'm absolutely loving it. And apologies if anyone across the pond can't understand a word of what we're saying. Because trust me, sometimes even I have trouble. But anyway, if you are new to my channel, hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, make sure that you are here every single week, honey child, okay? Because I will be dishing up the tea on what went down on the show. If you haven't done so already, then do consider subscribing so that you don't miss my next episode. Now, with all that being said, let's get straight into it. Okay, so for the mini challenge, this wasn't really much of a challenge, but it was just a little mini thing to get them to the Maxi challenge. The Vivienne had to line up everybody in order of who she thinks is the most threatening to her. Needless to say, this did cause a little bit of a stir because obviously nobody wants to be picked last. Despite her being in the bottom last week, the first person that the Vivienne picks is actually Vinegar Stroke. So everyone's a little bit like, like, why? But I can see why. Like, I feel that Vinegar's got so much more to give and she kind of just missed the mark last week. But I do think that from here on in, she's going to be stronger and stronger. And I reckon that the Vivienne can just sort of foresee that coming a mile off. So she put her straight after herself. Next, she picked Bagger, which I totally expected. And then she picked Crystal, who I wasn't sure why she put her there, but she put Davina after Crystal. I would have put Davina before Crystal personally, but that's just a personal preference of mine. Something Wong definitely has a chip on her shoulder at this point because she's like, well, girl, last week I almost won, so why am I not like closer to the top? She picked her next. Then it was Blue Hydrangea, and then it was Cheryl Hole, who was vexed because she was just like, why am I being put here? Like, she doesn't even see me as a threat. But the Vivienne has zero time for Cheryl Hole at all. She finds her so annoying. She's just constantly chit-chatting, and she's just fed up of her. So she did it on purpose. I was like, oh, shame. And then she put Scaredy Cat last. Scaredy Cat was like, oh, well, you know, it's kind of what I expected, really. And I can see that. I can see why she'd expect that. I mean, she is the youngest and she's never performed in drag before. So naturally, the Vivienne isn't going to really think that much of her, despite the fact that she won the mini challenge last week. Yeah, she still didn't really think that much of her. So she put her in the bottom. What they didn't know was that was kind of the setup for choosing who the team captains were going to be for the Maxi challenge. So it turned out that the Vivienne was competing against Scaredy Cat as team captains. And the Maxi challenge was they had to perform scenes from a brand new period drama called Downton Draggy. At this point, Davina really wants to be on the strong team. Okay, she wants to be with the Vivienne. She wants to be with Vinegar. These big characters, bag of chips, you know, people like that. And instead, she ends up on Scaredy Cat's team because Scaredy Cat picked her first. And she was like, oh, hello, nice to be here. You can see it in her face that she is not happy at all. Davina has so many years of acting experience behind her, so naturally she wants to be there with the larger characters. So, you know, you can already see that she is completely doubting her position at this point. Vivienne pretty much picked everybody that she put in the top apart from Crystal. She actually picked Something Wrong over Crystal. Crystal wasn't too happy about that. Basically, nobody wanted to be on Scaredy Cat's team, just to put it bluntly. When Rue comes into the workroom to have a little chit chat with the queens after they're going through their scripts, he goes over to the Vivienne's team and he starts talking to Something Wrong, and it's all like, oh, so who are you gonna be? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna be Lady Carey. She's American. And he was like, oh, is that your American accent? And she was like, yeah, it's really bad. And Rue's looking all like, looking all concerned. Yeah, when he walked in the workroom, he was like, all right, governors. And I'm like, we don't all talk like that. Like, hardly any of us talk like that. Like, your British accent is just as bad. Just stop it, Rue. On to the Maxi challenge. Now, I know that we've gotten here quite quickly, but it's because the mini challenge wasn't really much of a challenge. It was just a chance to be a little bit shady. But right, so I feel that the Vivienne really definitely did shine in this. She was really, really funny. Her characterization of, what was her name? Duchess, Dame, something or other, Milady from Grimsby, or whatever it was that her title was. She was just very, very over the top. And all of this nonsense that was going on. She was like, I suppose some tea would be reaching for the stars. And bearing in mind that she's Liverpudlian, like, so it's such a far cry from how she usually talks. I thought it was fantastic. I really like to see people who don't have a sort of, you know, typical Southern accent, really go for it and like overact it. And that's exactly what this challenge was about. It was about overacting. And she did that. And she was one of my favorites in this. Vinegar Strokes as well took direction really, really well. She was one of the servants from downstairs and she had to, you know, put on her reading glasses and read Dame What's-Her-Face from Grimsby for filth. And, you know, once she did and really got into character, she was absolutely fabulous. And she took the notes well from Michelle. Michelle was like, listen, you need to seriously go for it. Give it everything, and she really, really did. In the rehearsals, Something Wrong was pretty much doing everything wrong. Yeah, she could not get her lines at all, poor thing. I think that nerves were really, really getting to her. It's a shame really, because like, apart from that, I actually thought that she was all right. She wasn't too bad. I did like her little help, what she did when she was calling out for help. Typical Mariah Carey style. What I didn't understand was the scripting for her. I thought it was really odd that she can be calling for help because the man who she's sleeping with has suddenly just died mid-intercourse, and like when she finally gets the help, enter Bag of Chips, we'll talk about Bagger in just a second, she just slaps her across the face and then goes, yes, come through, little Bob. And she's all like fixing up her hair. And I'm like, that is so disjointed. Like, I don't understand the need to be crying for help, then slapping her in the face and then fixing her hair all in one breath. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I think it was just put there just to put a slap in there. I just don't think it was needed, especially when we've already had Vinegar Strokes literally battering Dame What's-Her-Face from Grimsby to pretty much to death, because when she was reading her earlier, she was just basically using it as a time to just let all her feelings out about how much she hated her. She ended up like swatting a fly like in her face, in her chest, that's whacking her on the floor. All this, we've had all of the fighting. We don't need an unnecessary slap. Bagger, on the other hand, definitely deserved to bag herself a win because she was fantastic. Her face looked horrendous, and that's good. We wanted to see some serious overacting. She really reminded me a lot of Ginger Minge in this. She was just brilliant. Like, she had to pick up the man and like roll him up in the carpet, and then she had to say at the end, she had to go, much better, at the end, right? But when she did it in rehearsal, she just rolled him up in the carpet and then just stood up. And then Michelle was like, much better. And she went, oh, was that much better? And she's like, no, your line is much better. She's like, sorry, my bad, much better. And then that just became like the thing of the evening. I thought that she just really dug deep into that character and definitely did give it her all. She was so funny. This was most definitely the strongest group by far. So Team Scaredy Cat come in, and already we're seeing that there's a few little issues there. Cheryl Hole doesn't quite know her lines. She was playing Dame Judi Dench something of Slough. Which I thought was brilliant. Dame Judi Dench, brilliant. But yeah, she was good with like characterization in her face, but she didn't really know her lines very well, so that kind of let her down a little bit. This is all in like rehearsals, by the way. The finished product, you know, came out all right. Crystal straight away got red for not doing a British accent when she said that she was going to do a British accent. She needed British accent, darling. What she basically needed to do was just commit, whether it was going to be British or American, whichever it was, just commit to it. And I think because she was trying really hard to do British and it wasn't coming out very British, Michelle was like, girl, no. However, I loved her line when she's there. She's reading the paper and she was like, it's quite the scandal. I just loved it. It was one of my favourite lines from that whole scene, actually. In terms of Scaredy Cat, I didn't know that we had pheromone on this show. Put it that way. All I was hearing was, why is my life so terrible? So okay, fine, we get it. We know that little Edie or Miss Edie or Lady Edie, what was her name? Lady Edie, not little Edie. That was Jinx Monsoon, who she actually really reminds me of, but that's a completely different story. Yeah, she's playing Lady Edie. It's supposed to be pathetic and whiny. We understand that, but everything was always like this. I've been dumped again. How am I to be married? There's no men here. I was just like, but even Michelle was like, I would slap you if I was there because you're just too one-noted. Do you know what I mean? Like like her character didn't really go anywhere. It didn't progress because everything was in this voice. I must say though, I loved it when Davina came in and she just went, pull yourself together, lass. Big slap across her face. It was perfect. That is where we needed a slap. We didn't need Mariah Carey to slap poor Bagger in the face and then try to fix her hair. Unnecessary. This, totally warranted. In fact, she could have even given her 5 slaps and I'd have been happy. That was 10. Yeah, 10 slaps. I'd have been happy. Just keep going. Just keep going. I'd have been happy with that. Just shut her up. Anyway, speaking of Davina, I thought that she did a stellar performance in this, and in a group where not everybody is as strong as she is, I feel that kind of highlighted how good that she is, and I felt that she was somebody who was very good at reacting to the situation. For example, stuff's going on the table. They're all like cooing over Lord what's his face bottom who walked in. And you know, even before she says her line, she's all like, oh yeah, yeah, love me a piece of that, without saying anything. You know, she's doing it all in her face. You know, she's giving you that kind of grotesque sort of like lecherous, should I say, behavior, just in her face. Do you know what I mean? But it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. It was spot on. Blue Hydrangea for me was very forgettable in this. Much like her lines. Poor thing. She had to say a line about, I think it was to do with energy bills or something, and she was like, I've got urgent news. You haven't paid your scandal bill for 10 years and you've racked up hundreds of pounds in debt or something like that. And she just couldn't get this line out every second. I'm sorry, line. And every time it's happening, you can see she's just shrinking more and more and more. And I really wanted to see this flower blossom and not be a shrinking violet. And that's exactly what she was in this, I feel. And it's a shame, especially because when she was chatting to Rue earlier, she was saying how, you know, like, I want to bring something which hopefully no one has seen before. And that was your moment. Where were you? She was very much forgotten. And yeah, that was a real shame. So now it's elimination day, and in the workroom, I thought it was a very interesting discussion that Scaredy Cat, Something Wrong, and Vinegar Strokes were having while they were getting their makeup done. They were talking about whether or not Scaredy had come out to her family about being bisexual or whatever. And she was like, no, do you know what? To be honest, I don't really care what gender, you know, I'll go with whoever, blah, blah, blah. But my sexuality is my girlfriend. I don't want to be with anybody else, blah, blah, blah. And that's wonderful. And then Vinegar was talking about just how hard that it is when you are Black and gay, and especially if your parents are from the Caribbean, how it is just really not the done thing, and how, you know, how bad that like homophobia is over there. And Scaredy's reaction was like, oh my God, really? And this made me think, my goodness, like some people don't realize just how, I don't want to say easy because it's not easy. Like this is not an easy subject at all, but just how much easier that it is dependent on where you're from. If you are from somewhere that has a very strong kind of like strict cultural upbringing, like the Caribbean, like Asia, do you know what I mean? Like this is difficult, right? This is a really difficult thing to do, to come out as gay, to come out as a drag queen. So not even just that you are homosexual, but you also enjoy dressing up as a woman, you know what I mean, for a living. Something which, you know, should be seen as A, none of anyone's business, whoever you want to sleep with, but B, being a drag queen is an incredible form of entertainment. And it's so sad when people feel that they have to hide that from their family, like Something Wrong. Her parents have absolutely no idea that she does this. And I felt really sorry for her when she said that, you know. It was just really sad to hear, but it was interesting to see Scaredy's reaction to that, because, you know, she had zero idea of how hard that this was for people of other races and stuff. Like this is a real big issue, and I'm glad that we're moving forward now to a point. I'm glad that it's getting easier for people to come out, for people to talk about whatever sexuality that they are. You know, like we're living in an age now where we just have so much more acceptance for who people are. At least here in the UK, we have it. You know, America is obviously getting better. There's still some places that could do with a little bit of work, but we haven't reached there globally just yet. And, you know, I hope that day comes soon, because it's horrible to feel like you've got to hide so much from your parents just because of the way that you were raised or the way that they were raised. Do you know what I'm saying? I know it's a little bit deep, a little bit serious, but that was just something that I thought was really interesting. You know, hearing Something's and Vinegar's stories and seeing Scaredy's reaction to that, I just thought, wow, you really have no idea, do you? But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Onto the runway. Now the category is Bond Girl Glamorama. So I don't know whether you've noticed, but I have decided to go for my Dame Shirley Bassey look today, you know, because diamonds are forever. I'm not going to do that again because my son is sleeping. At least I still hope that he's sleeping. So if it came out terrible, sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it. So, favorites for me. Okay, I absolutely loved I loved the Vivienne's outfit. The cat suit with the big hood, absolutely beautiful. Loved. I loved the different sort of color shifts that it gave. It was kind of like purple into gold. She walked down the runway very, very strong. She had a really great presence about her. Absolutely adored that outfit. You can definitely tell that she got some inspiration from Grace Jones in this. It's very, very clear in the hair, you know, even with like the hood, the bold lip, everything. You can definitely see that. I loved the long sleeves as well that she had going on. This is basically just a fabulous outfit that I will very happily go down the road to go and buy my weekly groceries. Yeah, I'd do that. Bag of Chips made me so happy this runway, seriously. She came out as Liza Minnelli, or should I say Laser Minnelli? Oh, the Bond girl name. Oh yeah, the Vivienne's one was Serena Shart. Oh my goodness, the names. Yeah, I loved this outfit. I would totally rock this any day of the week. It's a full sequin tux with a bowler hat. I'm happy. Not much more to say apart from the fact that her characterization coming down the runway was spot on. She's just so funny. I really do enjoy watching her. I would pay to go and see her in a show. Like, even if it was just a one-woman show, I'll pay to go see it because I think that she's brilliant. She even like dashed her hat down the runway at the end. Like, all of the crazies, like, I just love her. I think that she's fabulous. Someone else whose outfit that I loved was Davina's. She was Paris Eatamall. And I really liked the bright red hair up in a ponytail, and I loved the long sequin coat that she had with the fairy collar. You know, it just looked very sort of like vixen-y, you know, like I really did like that. She then kind of like pulled it back and pulled out a knife, supposedly, from like her hip, but I couldn't actually see this knife. She could have gone so much bigger. She could have made a massive knife out of cardboard or whatever, just something that could really be seen from like far back in the audience. Do you know what I mean? Because I couldn't see this knife. I've watched it a few times and I still can't find the knife. To the point where even Graham Norton, who was one of the judges on this episode, when he saw it, he went, "Is that a butter knife?" I'm not much of a fetish girl, okay? Fetish stuff doesn't really do it for me. But the execution of Crystal's outfit, absolutely loved it. I like that she did all of her knots herself as well. They looked really nice and neat. Again, the high ponytail thing, it really suited this look. And I wasn't expecting all of that underneath the bright orange trench coat that she had on. But I also wasn't expecting her to drag out a whip from like thin air, and she cracks it really well, because whips can be a little bit hit and miss. If you don't know how to use a whip, don't use a whip. All right, but she clearly does know what she's doing, and she looked great, you know. And I just thought that she looked like a proper sort of Bond girl villain, you know, like she looked great. I really did enjoy looking at that. Oh, and we're not going to just skip over the fact that Blue Hydrangea had 3 breasts. Did you think I wasn't going to mention that? I am loving the fact that the reveal wasn't just, look at me, I've got 3 titties. It was the 007. I thought that was very clever. She had a kind of sort of like sci-fi look to her. The helmet looked kind of almost like alien-like. And yeah, I liked the chaps legs things that she had on. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, mind-blowing, but I like the 3 tits. This was actually quite an emotional runway. You know, you have Blue Hydrangea getting all upset and saying how she doesn't feel like she's, you know, really got anyone, like she feels very alone here. You've got Davina, who's like breaking down over her performance, not thinking that she did very good. In fact, she did brilliantly. And then when she got all the praise from Rue, you know, she was all like, oh, thank you so much. People are coming into Untucked with their feelings. ready to, you know, talk about their emotions and everything. And straight away, Cheryl is there with, well, first things first, I want to say that, you know, on the runway, I said that I thought that everyone did really, really well, apart from you, something wrong, blah, 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 blah. As soon as she starts, I just loved that they cut to the VT of the Vivienne. And she just went, "Who put 50 pence in Cheryl?" That for me was like the line of the evening. Who put 50 pence in Cheryl? She can't stand her. And it's brilliant to watch. So this lip sync. Well, one thing's for sure, it will definitely go down in history. I think people will be remembering it for quite some time. Scaredy Cat, what is this? What are these moves? Like, what are these moves? I know that we kind of have to, I suppose, excuse it because she's never performed in drag before. Ever. Like, her first gig is on RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't think there's any other queen ever who can actually say that their very first gig in drag is on RuPaul's Drag Race. So she's made history, but just no. Blue Hydrangea was all right. Okay, she wasn't like, oh my God, amazing. She was all right. I feel she kind of won by default on this one. When she went to the back of the stage, did her little biting of her finger, that kind of signifies to me, okay, it's about to go down. And it didn't. All she did was drop to her knees. I was expecting somersaults, backflips, flip-flops, one after the other. Spread eagle. I was expecting something. But all we got was her dropping to her knees and then just sort of pushing herself backwards. And even that wasn't that clean. It was a little bit stilted for me. You know, I don't know whether it was just the PVC chaps. I'm not sure. But regardless, she won the lip sync. And Scaredy Cat had to go home. Question of the day. Who do you think was the best dressed? Is there somebody that I missed out? Is there somebody that I'm sleeping on? Let me know in the comment section below. We've all got different opinions here. I want to hear your views. I'm pretty sure that fashion photo review will be up at some point. It may even be up already by the time this video goes out. I'm not entirely sure. So, you know, feel free to go ahead and check that out so you can see a full rundown of everybody's looks. But yeah, I just wanted to share the ones that I absolutely loved. If Drag Race is your thing and you need someone to sit down and really have a good old chit chat about it with, then this is the place to be. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss my next episode. And over here, this is where you will find my previous one, just in case you did miss it. Take care, my darlings, and I will see you all soon. Mwah. Bye.